everybody. My name is Stanley. Welcome back to Challenge the Faith. Today, I'm super excited about this episode. We're going to be talking about where is God in the entertainment industry, and we've got incredible guests with us, and so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and we'll dive right in.
I'm Tatum. I'm 22 years old. I'm originally from North Carolina, but I've been in Nashville for 2 years now. Grew up going to church and being a worship leader, and now I'm kind of doing the country music scene, so it's been super fun. Yes.
Hey guys, I'm Ashley Ryan. Nice to meet y'all. I'm 27 years old. I'm originally from Corona, California, but I moved here for about 7 years ago now, and I sing country music.
Yeah.
But I love Jesus, so yeah.
You love Jesus here.
I love it.
I'm Titus. I am 30 years old. I turned 30 a few weeks ago, which is weird. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm up here now. No, that's cool. I'm originally from Michigan. Well, I was born in Oklahoma, raised in Michigan. Lived in Texas, moved here for music, actually.
Nice.
But I was a worship leader. My parents are pastors. I've been to church my whole life. But I do political, cultural commentary. That's like my day job, I guess. But I kind of trying to get out of that scene. So, yeah.
Cool.
Super cool.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. So I think it's great to have you guys on the show because I think one of the interesting things is when we were starting the show, we knew, okay, yeah, you're in Nashville. You have a lot of people who are entertainers and like singing and doing this thing. And we didn't necessarily expect to get a tremendous amount of DMs and people asking us about like, hey, could we talk about God in the music industry and in the political commentary industry? And one of our producers, Chrissy, has this wonderful show about political commentary. And so it was one of those things where like, yeah, let's for sure do this. And this is an industry I'm not super familiar with, so I don't sing. And, my wife tells me that all the time. So, but I want to like really start the conversation off with, and I'll start with you because I want to start with, you've been in church your whole life. You come to Nashville, you're 22, you're breaking into this scene where I feel like, specifically for women too, I feel like it might even be more challenging because I feel like you have to look a certain way to be marketable. Whereas I feel like, if I'm a guy, I can be like Jason Aldean, right? And I can just show up, or Morgan Wallen. Like, yeah, they're marketable, but like, I feel like it's just different. Right. And so how do you balance being a believer while also simultaneously being in that world?
I feel like it's definitely a difficult balance sometimes, especially being so young and being in a new city. And it's, I feel like I struggle so much with comparison and knowing who I am. And I always have to like remind myself like who I am, but also whose I am while I'm doing this. So, I mean, like ever since I came to Nashville, like I always I knew God wanted me to be here. I just didn't really know why. Like I knew I wanted to do music and, do the songwriting thing and all that. But I also like struggled with, how am I going to incorporate God in my music and how am I going to be a light in this industry? I feel like this industry especially needs more of like God, and, it's such a dark world, and this industry is so dark. And I just feel like my goal here is just to be the light. And that's all I've really wanted to do ever since I moved. So,
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's great.
Yeah. So I just try to incorporate that in my music, especially.
Do you think that God is present in country music right now, or just music in general? Do you feel like he's moving in
I
it?
definitely think there's a lot of revival in country music, especially like with Jelly Roll. Like he's like putting out music that just relates to so many people, just about
Brandon Lake's
alcoholism,
breaking into
Brandon Lake,
country music.
absolutely, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
really cool to see that coming out now, because I feel like we need more of it.
Yeah. I think country musicians are probably the most relative to like Christian and faith anyway. Like they're more willing to be open about what they believe. And I mean, for me personally, wanting to go into music college, like the most strategic way for me to transfer to music, even though something I've always wanted to do my whole life, would be to do country because they're the most accepting of what I've been preaching the last 5 years on my platform. And I love country, but I was just like, they're so open to it. Like the Aldeans or Carrie on do it. Like she just was on American Idol like this season talking about how I know how this industry is with people that have faith, but thank you, like stay strong in it. I have, and she's had an amazing career.
So many people like major faith season on American Idol too, which
Oh my
is so
gosh.
cool. I mean, all these people are singing straight worship songs.
What do you attribute that to? What do you think's like building upon that? Why is that becomes right? Because I feel like in music, as it is in business, like they're going to follow the money. And it almost feels like there's a shift culturally towards somewhat of conservatism or getting back to faith. Like I saw a study recently was showing like more young people are getting back to their faith than ever before. right? And now you're seeing American Idol, like they're not just doing that because they have to, right? I feel like they're doing that because there's some form of monetary value, or they're seeing the viewership go up. What do you guys attribute that to?
I mean, I definitely think when you look at statistics of mental health, like our generation, we have the worst anxiety than any other generation before. And you also see the greatest spike in Christianity, which I think is really interesting, and a lot of young people. Because I think it was a percentage of, I think it was 4% of people identified as Christians in our generation. But look what that 4% is doing.
Yeah.
And so I think to answer the question, like, I really don't think it's anything different than we see in scripture, like judges. You see this awful judge being raised up, and then everything goes to crap, and then God raises up another judge, and then maybe he's more righteous and things are good. But then he dies and then someone else comes up and then it's crazy again. I mean, I think we're just kind of getting back to a point where people are so desperate for something. And I think they're finally realizing it's Jesus. It's not drugs. It's not alcohol. It's not
what's real.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I come from a big family. I'm one of 5 kids. There's 11 nieces and nephews in our crew, right? And yeah, it's wild. But one of them was talking to me, like all of them I talked to, they're all like kind of in this cool teenage years. And I noticed that they're not really like drinking. They're not doing drugs as much. They're not focused on that. Like, it's not like like teen pregnancy. I saw this out, it's like super, super far down, like lowest it's ever been. And so, yeah, it's like super low. And it's interesting. So like, there's all this move, there's a shift. And then like, to your point, Jelly Roll's like dropping this stuff. And like, I watched him, was it the CMAs or something? And he like sang, and it was just like really his testimony. What do you guys, I know we're kind of circling, but I still want to keep digging on that. Like, why now?
I think it's like a breaking point for a lot of people. Like, you were saying some mental health, like when you feel like you have nothing left, it's like there's only one place to turn to for some people. It's like, why not just try it? And culturally it hasn't really been glamorized, faith or Christianity, but I think the pendulum has swung a lot because of how much hate it's gotten. And, people at first, there's like, and I talk about this in my spaces, it's like this self-righteous, like social justice warrior thing has played its course. Like, people are like, all right, we get it now. Like, okay, I was cool with like accepting people for who they are. That's fine. You can do whatever you want within your own life. But now you're telling me like what I have to do. Now you're trying to inflict things on my kids. Now you're doing all these other things that you're crossing a boundary. And so now they're like, and okay, they're not evil. They just don't agree with you. Now you're like going overboard with it. And I think they're just kind of like, okay, well, what are these people actually? Well, what this actually makes sense. Well, this ain't, who is this God? Like, I've seen so many people transfer from being, I'm not trying to have a liberal conservative conversation, but I've seen people transfer from being liberal to being conservative to being Christian. Like, their ideals start to shift, and then they're like, well, what is my foundation for these ideals that are shifting that make sense to me? And then it's like they turn to God, and then I've seen that happen over and over again.
It's like the lens of life you look through.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious. So like Morgan Wall dropped that album, right? And he has a song in like it says Genesis, right? And it's like a really great like writing was on that. But with you specifically, singing in that space, how has that evolution been for you? Because you came to Nashville 7 years ago.
Roughly.
Kind of like did the work your way up kind of thing. Now you're in like you've broken in. How has that breakthrough been for you?
Oh my gosh, I joke with all my music friends. I'm like, you're not a true musician if you don't have like a mental breakdown and like depression at least once a month. Oh my gosh. And I fully have the Lord, like I am totally free from depression and all that. But it's so easy because the enemy has a gun pointed at you at all times. So you have to be careful not to give him any ammunition. And sometimes that ammunition is comparing yourself to other female country singers online. I mean, women do this all the time. Yourself. I'm sure men do too, but there's like this weird little war a lot of women have with each other of like, okay, I need to be prettier than her. I need to sound better than her. Oh, well, she's not that good because, her dress is too short. Right. So like, I'm better than her. It's so easy to get like that, to get that self-righteous, even as a Christian, but I think for me, it's just staying grounded in whose I am. I love how you said that. And just realizing that music or political commentary, it's what we do. It's not who we are. We're daughters and sons of the Lord. That's our identity. And so if your identity isn't anything else, you will never be satisfied. You'll always be hungry.
Talk to if I'm a female out there, maybe I'm trying to break in and maybe I think that is pervasive, not just in music, right? I think that's in everything, right? In the business world and whatever it might be. How do you overcome this comparison trap? How did you navigate that, and how are you currently navigating?
Can I call my therapist real quick? Man. Oh my God, let me phone in a friend. It's my therapist.
Solid question.
Hey, dog. No, I think, no, it's honestly, it's a great question, and it should be talked about more because I think another thing, one of the tactics, the bullets, the ammunition, I would say, is isolation. That's for men and women, 1,000%. So it's easy to compare yourself, especially when you're all by yourself in your phone. And maybe like people that didn't get to play CMA Fest this past week, they're looking at all their friends that did.
Yeah.
Or their friends just played Nissan, and they're over here like, man, I didn't even get like the intro stage. You know, it's so easy to do that. But again, it just all goes back to, I really believe Jehovah Jireh, like the Lord will provide. If he put a dream in your heart, and you have to test it, you got to test all things, right? You have to make sure what you're doing is not to please yourself and satisfy yourself, because music is not a sin. It's a beautiful gift that God gives, but it can easily become a sin if it becomes your idol. So, you know, you got to make sure you're, you know, like, don't be ditching your Bible studies and not reading scripture or not praying as much because you're focusing too much on music. And because then you're not, if you're not in the word's not in you. And so you got to make sure you're constantly spending time with the Lord consistently, like clockwork. And so I think that's very, very important to keep your spirit fed, because then it starves your flesh. But if your spirit's fed, you're good. You can walk. That's the fuel you need.
It's so good. It's interesting too, because we live in a world that's so measured, right? Everything's calculated. How many subscribers do I have? How many watch minutes, right? Hours, whatever, like constant likes and all these different things. And so you're always competing for attention, it feels like. And it's like the crazier the clickbait, right, is like the more attention you get. So I think to your point, it's really interesting. I do think men definitely battle it, but I think it's different between men. But I'm curious your take.
I think my parents like deluded me as a child. Like, you're the best. You can do whatever you put your mind to. Like nothing. So I don't compare myself. I feel like I have a healthy relationship with that, because my friend who convinced me to move here for music, he's an amazing voice. Like technically, he's a better singer than I am. Like vocally, the ability that he has is I cannot capable of doing some of the stuff he can do. But someone could think my voice sounds better, because it's not about whose voice sounds better, or it's about who's technical in this sense that I'm saying. So I don't really, someone's going to love my voice. Someone's going to think I'm good. And that's all that matters. And hopefully enough people do. I'm not going to compare to someone who doesn't sound like me. I'm not anything like, you know, if we were exactly like that, I might be like, oh, damn. But it's not fruitful. It doesn't benefit me in any way. So I'm just like, I don't really compare myself that much. I compare myself to myself. Oh, I don't like the way I sounded last show I did, or I don't like whatever, but I don't really compare myself with people that.
Well, it sounded like an abundance mindset, right? Like,
right. If I post 20 videos, one of them is going to go viral. If I keep going, like something's going to happen.
Consistency.
Yeah, consistency is key for anything. I tell everyone now, like, when they tell me when to do social media or whatever, I'm like, just keep doing it. Don't stop. People stop. People give up.
You can't go to the gym once, get one apple, and then you have abs.
Just keep going. You will have a viral video. I've had people just do that and then go viral. I'm like, see? Just keep going. Don't stop. Obviously, there's like more to it. Personality and me engaging, saying certain things. Yeah, that's true. But like, if you keep doing that, you're gonna go far. There's a niche for everything. Look at TikTok. There's people that are chopping wood. The point is, anybody could do it. Yeah, like even you. Like you guys said, you're very engaging. You're very good at interviewing people and asking questions that are thought provoking, and like that is going to grow if you just are consistent with it.
I had a mentor one time so I'm in the business world, and he would sit down with me, and we were talking about, I was earlier on in my career, and I remember I was falling victim to comparison, right? And like comparison's the thief of joy, right? Is the Bible talks about. And so I sat there and I remember listening to him. And one of the things he told me is just like, the more I lean into the opposite of the thing I'm afraid of, the more I'm less afraid of it. Right. And so he was like, giving, for example, he like used this as an analogy. And we talk about this a lot on the show. Is like giving. A lot of people have a challenge with giving 10% of their income, right? It's scary, especially when, and it's funny because when you're broke, you think it's scary, and when you're rich, you think it's scary. Like there's no medium. It's always scary, right? Because like 10% is still a lot, no matter what the dollar. So it was unique though. He told me, he's like, I give because it counteracts greed in my life. I give because it eliminates the fear of not having enough. So every time I'm obedient, to your point, I remove ammunition from the devil, and I give myself, my faith builds, right? And so I think even with comparison, one of the things that, like my wife, she stayed at home with our son, and it was odd because when she stepped out of her career, she has a wonderful career, and she decided to step out, she had like comparison of, okay, now I'm a mom, and like my monetary value is not there that she could see. And then she also had comparison on the mom side too. Like there's these moms like, oh, you use that bottle or you do that with you. And you're like, dude, like I'm just trying to like keep the thing alive.
Are the moms that are dressed to the nines at 5 a.m. and their babies have like, they made organic oatmeal, whatever it is, from scratch from the plants in her backyard. Like, can't relate.
Sit with Kiana, I'd be like, hey, like if you go down this path, you will always feel less than. But if you celebrate every mom you come in contact with, it will produce life in them and also life in you. Right. And I always like talk about like what I sow, I will reap. And so like figure out what seed I want to plant. Right. If comparison's a challenge, I always tell people like then every time I see, like to your point, if somebody, one of my friends got to play at CMA, I'm going to sit there and be like, I'm so proud of you. Share their video, comment on their stuff. And what will happen is I feel like you actually put to death comparison by doing the opposite of it. Would you agree with that at all?
Yeah, I would say so. I feel like sharing like friend stories or like their posts from like, you know, their shows and whatnot, like that definitely like helps me to be more proud of them and like be more like, oh, like look at all the cool things you're doing. And I don't know, like I just feel like it definitely helps with, you know, letting like that comparison in, because all that was so confusing. I don't know how to like answer that, but I feel like I feel like it definitely is really good to kind of, you know, promote your friends and yeah,
and shout them out. I think it's a unique industry you guys are into, right? Because I feel like everybody like feels like they have a family member that can sing, and like we always joke because my one sister actually is a great singer. She's like a worship leader and whatnot, and did great. And we always laugh because people will be like, "Oh, well, then one of the other 5, you guys can sing too, right?" And we're like, no, I can't. But it was great because our parents like raised me and be like, "You're not a good singer, and that's okay." And I'm like, I feel like we need more of that.
There's a healthy balance, though. You know, like I always feel bad for like the 16-year-old that tries out for American Idol and they're on the compilation video of like worst auditions. I'm like, come on, mom and dad. Like, we can't enable.
yeah,
it doesn't help, you know? Like, speak the truth in love.
It's going to hurt
yeah.
If they heard it from you, the parent, they know that you're protecting them and that you care about them. They hear it from their peer at school, it's going to hurt them a lot. And then why did you lie to me? Why did you tell me? Now you're like distrust with your parents. Like you lied to me. You said I was a good singer, and I'm not a good singer.
Yeah, I fully support being honest with your children about their talents and repurpose that passion for, okay, maybe your desire isn't singing. Maybe it's playing guitar. Maybe it's music production.
Something
you
else.
have something for music. Maybe it's not singing. Redirect that.
Exactly.
If I'm a young artist and I'm trying to break out, right? I'm trying to figure out like where my lane is. What advice would you give somebody like that?
Interestingly enough, I could ask the question to someone as well, because I feel like I'm still learning that. I mean, I think depending on what you're doing, like I can only really speak from a singer-songwriter perspective. I moved here on a whim. I went to Belmont University for a year. That was my excuse to get here, though, to please the parents, right? Like, can't just move to Nashville at 18 or 19.
I go to college.
Yeah, I'm going to school.
Yeah.
My art degree equivalent is music business. No hate to all my music business people out there, but I just did the thing. You know, I was scared, but you just, again, isolation is such a huge bullet the enemy uses towards us.
Yeah.
And so you got to find your people. I mean, like even just like girl to girl, we can talk about what it's like specifically to be a female in music and the things we struggle with. Absolutely. And like all 3 of us can even communicate on a more broader sense of just, you know, what you're saying, subscribers, likes on engagement, all that. We all go through that. So it's finding your people, I think, is the most important part. Getting cheerleaders and find people that are more talented than you, honestly. You don't really want to be the best and smartest and most talented in your group.
This town is so inspiring. Like you can, you know, look up to so many artists here and just like learn something. And that's what I try to do, especially like ever since I moved here. Like I went out to as many writers rounds like as I could.
Always be a student.
Yeah, always.
Not a teacher, you're a student.
We learn every day, and I think that's really, really cool. So,
well, you're talking about it being inspiring. So like just getting out in the like, if I'm listening to that though, and I'm a songwriter, like where do you gain some of your inspiration?
Just like artists wise?
Yeah.
I feel like just like I love like writers' rounds, especially because you hear like the stories behind the songs, about how they came about, and also just like the stories of the artists and like where they came from, where they started. And, some people start with a lot of money that they can invest in their career, and some people like start with nothing. And I think it's just like really cool to know where everybody like comes from and just their stories. Yeah. So it's
we can all trauma bond together.
Yeah,
like we're all broke. We're all broke. We are. We're gonna be 30. Yeah, we don't have a 401k yet. Yeah, that's all right. We're doing what we got to figure out.
It's all good. It's all good.
For you specifically, if I'm a guy, right, I'm listening to this, you just moved here relatively soon. Yeah, Mars, that's crazy. What's unique about your story, though, is you had already built a pretty sizable following on YouTube doing a completely different thing. How did that transition happen? Like, walk me through that.
Well, I never wanted to do that. I made a video working my door-to-door job in Texas, and it went viral. And for me, it was viral all the time. I was like, whoa, people. I was talking about the debate between Trump and Biden. I was frustrated in my car on my lunch break. I made a video, and I got like 2,000 views. I was like, what? I think I posted before, I got like 100. So I was like, what the heck? So I just kept making funny, goofy videos. My brother made some skits, and they just, within a week, got like 10,000 followers on TikTok. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Within like a few months, I had like 100,000. I was like, what the heck is going on? Yeah. So then I just kept going, built it up to like 200. But that was in 2020 when everything was getting banned. So that account got up to like 240,000 and it just banned. But at that point, I had transferred to YouTube, and my YouTube was already at like 400,000 subs. So I was like, oh, cool, buy TikTok, I don't care. And I just kept building TikTok's accounts, and they get to like 80,000 banned, 20,000 banned. Currently I have one at 50,000, but it's like shadow banned like crazy, but it's like whatever. Transferred to Instagram, built that one up, like just talking about that stuff. And I didn't want to do that originally. I think it's just like went with the momentum. Like, okay, I believe these things, and I'm frustrated what's happening in the world, so I'm going to talk on them because I'm a very opinionated person. So I'm just going to say my thoughts, and you're going to hear them. And so, I built that up. Obviously, things came from that. Like I met Chrissy, I met a lot of other influencers. I went to all these events, and then people want to work with you, wanting to pay you to do this or whatever. But I always wanted to do music. That was since I was a kid, I always wanted to do music. Like I'd never cared to do this, and I still I care about it because of my values, and I'm glad that I don't ever have to get exposed for being conservative because y'all know. But music is what I always wanted to do my whole life, and I was 29 before I moved here, and I was like, on a whim, I started posting some covers online. He was like, dude, I used to write with Sony Records, and I know so-and-so and so-and-so, and like, I can get you booked for rounds. And I got to skip a few steps. So some people, I don't know anybody here. So I got to get booked for rounds, and I don't even know how to do that. I still don't know the process of how to do that. He just hooks me up with it. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll just move here. It was like literally a few weeks before my lease was up in Michigan. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to move here and try. Why not?
There's something powerful about it, though. Like just making the decision. Like I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, no idea.
Best decision ever.
I'm doing what I have always wanted to do. It's cool. And I'm so over the political stuff. Not like I still believe what I believe, but once you get in the world and then you see the people on both sides, there's some people that are just in it for money. Some people are corrupt, even if they're I align with their values, and I'm just like, y'all are just dirty. And I know that's in every industry. It'll be like that music too, but at least I'll enjoy music.
What's some advice that you would give for an artist who wants to remain true to their values, wants to stay true to who they are and like their purpose, why I'm here, but also is trying to break through and have that, like, there's an inflection point, I think, for everybody, right? Where like your values get tested by like what the devil can offer you, right? And I guess let me start with this. Have you hit that inflection point yet in your career?
I feel like I built up a pretty strong sense of like, I won't compromise on what I believe. Like, for instance, I actually got offered a very sizable amount of money to promote something that I didn't think was honest, and I didn't do it, and I needed it at the time. I was like, man, it'd be really helpful to have right now, but I was like, I can't. I think this is a lie. I don't think this is true, but they wanted me to promote it. And I don't know if it necessarily was a lie, but I don't think there was any evidence that it was true at the time. And it was just like, promote this to make such and such look like such and such.
Like it didn't feel genuine.
And I was just like, I'm not doing that. So, and I don't think I would ever, kudos to my parents for this. I feel like they've helped me to instill these values for me to not go past a certain point that would compromise in my integrity or my, who I am.
I feel like that's almost like it's fully you have to be resilient, and that comes from your own walk with Christ. But again, it's like, I feel like all of this goes back to the isolation too. If you don't have brothers and sisters,
I love that. There's a scripture in Proverbs about that, and I don't. It's like Proverbs 18. Or not
godly counsel.
18.
Are we thinking the same
I
one?
think Proverbs 18.
Yeah, God, the fool despises correction, and
Yes. Yeah.
one of those.
If-
Well, the Proverbs,
Yeah.
many good ones. But if you don't have people that you trust in your circle that can call you out, what are you doing? You know, like, you can't walk alone. But again, it's our walk with Christ is very personal, but it's not supposed to be private. And I personally have friends that are very private about their faith, very intentionally, because they don't want to lose followers. And I love them, and we have hard conversations. But ultimately, you have to wash your hands. You have to, lovingly, I hate the phrase call us out. It's just building each other up. It's iron sharpening iron. And so you have to have trusted advisors, I think is the verse. I don't know. It's somewhere in Proverbs. Godly counsel that can hold you accountable, because you got to be held to truth with love. You can't have one or the other. You need both. And so that keeps you grounded. Your foundation's on rock. So when the storms hit, the devil gets his ammunition thrown at you, you're not going to sink in sand because your foundation's rock. So that's self-control, that's discipline, that's consistency in the word, having godly counsel around you. I mean, it's multifactorial for sure.
There was a kind of message I taught a while back where I was talking about follow your anxiety to see where your lack of faith is. And what we do often is we try to medicate our anxiety, we try to hide from it, but we don't confront it and go, okay, this is where I lack faith, right? So like one of the things I talk about is, for example, if I'm an artist right now and maybe I want to be more private about my faith because I might lose followers, right? I might lose subs. One of the things that's unique about that though is in that moment, you were looking at the creator of heaven and earth, the universe and everything, including your gift, and saying, I trust my capability over yours to elevate. My gift can get me there more than you can get me there. And it's unique because when you take it and you put it in a context, it seems relatively silly, but it's like, I use this analogy, like I have a 3-year-old and he loves cookies after dinner. Like it's his favorite thing in the world, right? Yeah. Who doesn't? So Trey will be like, all right, Dad, can I have a cookie? Right. And one of the things that I'll do is not always, but sometimes I'll test him just to see where his heart's at. Right. And I'll be like, hey buddy, actually give it to your mom first. And he'll be like, and like hand it to mom. And when he does that, he doesn't know that I am the supplier of cookies. Everything that's in that pantry, I bought. He doesn't understand that I could buy 1 million cookies for him, that there's a bountiful supply. But in his mind, his mindset of the cookie is so finite. I only get this amount. I only have so much, right? To your point at the very beginning of the show, like you had an abundance mindset. You weren't as concerned about comparison because somebody's going to like my voice. But we live our whole life almost in this place of, I can't be authentic to my faith. I can't be authentic to my art because if I am, what if they don't like me? But on the inverse of that, what if you were authentic and they like you more? Right? Like there's songs that like back in the day that's that way.
Yeah. They'll always love the more authentic version of you. People can tell. And there's people are sick of the performative, you're not really being authentic. Like you just come off fake. I don't know what it is about you. They just don't seem real because they're not being themselves. They're hiding something. And when it comes to your faith, it's not saying every post has to be a scripture or a message or something.
Right.
It's just not hiding it. Like you should be, and honestly, if you're a Christian, it should be coming out at some point anyway, like just through your communication or whatever. Like if he truly is your Lord and Savior, you're going to bring him up at some point. So like, I'm not saying you don't have to be a minister like on every post, and you shouldn't be, so it can be annoying sometimes, but like,
Right.
It should just be part of your life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And so I think if we lived in a world where maybe artists looked at it from the standpoint of like, if I'm authentic to my faith and authentic to who I am and what got me here, I guarantee you, to your point, authenticity will always sell. Always. Right? Like when I started my career, I would run sales teams. Like the first thing I would give as advice would be like, just be Stanley. Right? Like I don't have to be Bob across the hall or Susan. Like I just have to be me. And the more calm I am and the more just who I am, I never had problems selling because people wanted to buy from somebody that they felt like they could trust. And I guess that kind of leads me to my next question. When you're writing music, how do you remain authentic in your lyrics, authentic in your story and your messaging to tap into that specifically?
When I'm writing, I usually write, and I'm not like a crazy experienced writer. I've written songs throughout the years, but the format and structure, all that stuff. I had my first co-write a couple weeks ago, and I wrote this really good song. Well, I think it was a really good song. And with two people that really helped me express, because they're like, what do you want to sing about? What do you want to talk about? And I just said, oh, this is what I'm currently going through or went through. And they were like, oh, bet. So we just started forming out this like song. I was like, oh, this is cool. And all that stuff. But my biggest thing is I want it to be authentic to me. And like my buddy who I said used to write for Sony gave me some songs that were really good that he wrote. And he's like, you can put them on your EP. And at first I was like, yeah, these songs are dope. I would definitely add them. And then I did that song a few weeks ago and I was like, I don't know if I want any song I do to not have me in it. And because when I sang scratch vocals for both of those songs, the one that I wrote that was part of my life or my story, even that's something I could relate to, you could hear in the vocal how much more real it was than the other one I made that was going to be my first single. Because I was like, you can just hear in my voice, like, oh yeah, there's like conviction or there's something that you connected to that song when you sang it. So I think for me, I just needed to be authentic. We were talking about, I need everything to be authentic to whatever story I'm trying to tell. I want it to be real and raw. I don't want to just concoct something that I think will go, platinum or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that makes total sense.
You do want to make it sound good, not all that stuff, but you're not just like, I'm going to be artsy and write this song, but it sucks, but it doesn't matter. But,
There's a balance with that, though, where it's like, all right, I want it to be mainstream enough where, like, I'm not a broke musician my entire life, but also, like, I want it to be real to me. It's such a balance. It's a fine line.
It really is.
How do you, because I feel like money in the musician story is, like, always tied together, right? Like, I feel like every musician I talk to is, like, a real one is, like, I am always broke, and then I wasn't broke. And it was, like, that moment, right?
Well, that's why people quit. Because they're like, I'm tired of, being closer to 30 than 20 and not having any life savings and having $50 in my checking. Like, that's a real experience because it's like you're broke until you're like Lainey Wilson multimillionaire.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
Oh. I mean,
So
she
true.
even said, like, she started in, like, a trailer. I mean,
I think she said she had like
She moved.
$60 in her checking
Yes.
account when
she was, like, 19.
Man Oughta Know went number one. Like number one, but
Crazy.
she didn't get the check yet because it takes a time to,
This needs
go through. Can you imagine being like, crap, I can't pay rent, bro? 1 million streams is, I think it's like $4,000. I
Oh,
think,
at least.
and you got to
Yeah.
split that with your pub company or
gosh.
your other co-writers. It's
Split.
trash.
Legal,
It's
yeah.
so bad.
Yeah. I have a friend who he's got very, well, no, he's very talented. He blew up on social media just doing music. So everything goes to him, like everything. I'm like, dude, how did you do that, man? You maybe have seen him before. He just moved here in August. His name's John Michael Howell. He's like this great Christian man who's very open about his faith. He's got like 2 million on TikTok,
Wow.
1 million on Instagram, neither monthly streams. Funny thing is, I remember when I started blowing up on social media, doing stuff that I've been doing, and he had like 16,000 followers on TikTok. I'm like, this makes no sense. This guy who works harder than anyone I know. Like, he works so hard, and he's so talented, and he's so good. I was like, has not blown up. So when he finally blew up, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was like, bro, you deserve this so bad. I was like, you,
Awesome.
because I've been in there. He's like, bro, I'm about to release this EP. I'm about to release this. And I'm like, dude, this is so good. How do people not know this? And like, it just took a while.
Such an influx of music and noise too, like we're all trying to break through this like threshold of just
like waiting for our time.
I think the authenticity is what makes it, because he's very confidently awkward, if that makes sense. Like, his personality is different, but like he leans into it. Like, I know,
well lean into it. That's
he's like, I know I'm a little awkward, so I'm just gonna be awkward. But I'm just gonna, yeah, that's just me.
But I'm going to rip.
Yeah, exactly. And
I'm gonna be the most awkward guy there is.
but he also has an amazing voice. He's an amazing like guitarist. He's
Right.
produces everything himself. So he's had shows, and people like had a lot of people show up. And his best friend, who he grew up with, also just blew up like within the last year, singing music on a what's it called, a one wheel. He goes around singing in like public places, and he's gone viral. So that's my friend. He's my friend Jeremiah Mellon. Yeah.
How cool is that?
So they're best friends. They've wanted to sing their whole lives. He was actually on The Voice. Did nothing for him. Didn't blow him up.
Same.
Really?
I was just on this past season.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
funny
that's
you say
awesome.
that because I was on season 27 and I literally I've gotten some opportunities from it, but it didn't like change my life,
Thank you. Wow.
Such a cool experience though.
That's crazy.
Oh, it was crazy. It was like a year of my life. Like literally last year at this time, I was in LA just filming for The Voice like the whole summer. And just interviewing and picking out outfits for like your audition,
Right.
and meeting your like it was just like a whole process that I'm glad I did it, but like it did like barely anything for me.
Yeah, and I remember he would like make TikToks saying like, I used to be on The Voice, put a video, and you think this is totally gonna go viral. I'm telling him like, and he's like, this is me on The Voice, and then I'm gonna re-sing the song I sang for my audition, and like we'll see if it goes viral. And it didn't, and he get maybe 1,000 views, 2,000 views. I'm like, this should go viral. Like what I see people doing stuff similar to, how is this not going viral?
Yeah.
But then but the funny thing is his videos that he do now, that's so authentic to him. We would ride one wheels around Fort Worth, Texas, and he loved writing those things. He loved going around, and then he just started singing on it. So I'm like, you put your two loves, and you're doing authentically yourself. Like this man, before he went viral doing that, would always, want to go one wheel? Want to go ride one wheels? I'm like, bro, sure. He loves riding the one wheels. No. So did John Michael, actually did too. They both loved the one wheels. I was like, y'all love that too much. That's not. But anyways, it's super cool. Yeah.
I want to go back to being on The Voice because I feel like you're in LA, right? You're in like the epicenter.
Different scene for sure.
Yeah, like talk more about that. I'm just curious, like how did it begin? Your process?
I mean, yeah. So I've auditioned for the show like many times, even before like making it. And I would do like Zoom calls with like producers. I mean, ever since I was like 16, like I would do it in high school. Like I just wanted to be
like
on
the
the
3
show.
pre-auditions for the actual.
Oh my gosh,
or
so many
Yeah.
auditions before the actual thing, by the way. Oh yeah, so like you're contacted by like scouts, like on Instagram, or like they find you like through YouTube. I actually got lucky because my season they needed more people in the cast, so they like contacted me like last March.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I guess March of 2024, right before they were going to start like flying people out. So I got really lucky, but there were like so many interviews beforehand, and like they pick so little. It's like out of all the people that audition, like it's insane how they have to narrow it down. And the coaches for my season were John Legend, Adam Levine, Kelsey Ballerini, and Michael Bublé. And I've always loved Kelsey. So I was really hoping they were going to pick me, and they did. So it was her first season ever. So I think that was kind of like a match made in heaven, just me and Kelsey, for sure.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was so fun. But I mean, the process is actually insane. Like what you watch on TV it's nothing like.
You could see him so like, oh, you show up and you'll see if you get her or not. It was like a 12-step process before you even get to that point.
No, it's like months of filming. Like literally we were there all summer, and I didn't even air till this past February.
Wow.
Yeah, my season, because they filmed 2 seasons at once.
Oh yeah, that's
over the
true.
summer. Yeah, so I had to wait so long. And it was a weird like in between, like
you can't there yet,
and then they fly you home like whenever you get eliminated. But yeah, it's just like a weird in between waiting for your time to air, because you're like, oh, I just did that, but when do I get to see it? Right. Not till like the next year. It's crazy.
And do you have to wait too? Like, does everyone's audition get aired?
Not everyone.
So that's interesting too.
Oh gosh.
So do you like? Part of you think like, wait, will I even be aired? Well, I guess you were on Kelsey's team.
So I was on Kelsey's team.
So you knew you were gonna be aired.
Yeah. So awesome. they're like they consider like over 100 people for the season, and only 48 make it. Oh, wow. At the blinds, and they have like 5 days worth of auditions, and you're gonna want to get day 1 or day 2, because those are like their favorites, I think. So I got day 2 of auditions, and it was crazy how many people got cut. Like day 4, day 5, like dang. Crazy. Like one of the girls I was so close with, she was there for the whole process, and then she didn't even get to audition because the teams filled up.
Yeah,
it was traumatic. Traumatic, because you're in your head the whole time. It's like, oh my gosh, am I gonna make it? Like
you're flying out.
You're missing everything. You miss your whole summer, and it's like, yeah, you sacrifice so much to be there, and for them to just be like, oh, you don't get to be on the show, you're cut. Bye. It's tragic. And I thought the whole time, like, this could easily happen to me. Like, I went into it expecting the worst, but hoping for the best. Like, you kind of have to be that way for TV shows like that. Like, it's just, it's hard, but yeah, we made it through. It's crazy. Woo!
Well, I was thinking about, like, when y'all were talking, there's a scripture where he talks like, hope deferred makes the heart sick, right? And I think if I'm a musician, or honestly, just any art form, like, to your point, like, people give up because it doesn't hit, right? They don't get that viral once, and they just get, I do 5 or 10 videos, and it's like, all right, I'm done, right? And I think it's interesting, but I don't want to get my take on it. I want to hear your guys' take, and we can kind of honestly just go down the line. But what would you say to maybe that artist that is like, they believe in their gift, they believe in their talent, they're here, they're doing the right stuff, hope deferred makes their heart sick, and maybe their heart's sick a little bit. What would you say to them?
I feel like I'm still kind of that person in some ways. Like I'm still like, I don't know, it's just hard for me to like really find like what I'm supposed to be doing and why I'm here. And sometimes I lose hope myself, and I feel like I would just tell them to like trust the process and know that good things are coming. And like for me, like I just still struggle with like trusting that and like knowing something better is coming. Especially like with the comparison thing that we've talked about, and just the time, and like, oh my gosh, I'm about to be 23, like I'm getting up there, but at the same time,
wait till you hit 27. As a woman, wait till you're 27.
Oh my goodness,
You're good.
Still, you know, you're in your head so much. Yeah, exactly. And it's like you have, you know, your people at home like, oh, how's it going? Like, you're gonna be famous, like yes, big star. I'm like, I'm working on it, you know. It's that constant thing. Every time I go home, it's like, how's Nashville? Famous yet?
Right, I cried 8 times this morning.
But yeah,
Frankly, yet or not?
right? Like, do you have your dream house and your dream husband? Still working on the husband, but yeah,
right.
This
Every facet of life, not just the
dating
basic.
scene here is
Dating
terrible.
Oh, yeah, don't recommend.
But all right, so for you though, right? Because you've kind of like, it's funny because Chris, who's our producer, was talking about how he first ran into you 3 years ago waiting tables. Like that, not the most like Nashville story ever. And he was like, "There's something about you that was so infectious," and I totally see that.
Sweet.
And now you're doing it. Like, what would you say?
Man, I mean, to answer your initial question, I think it's, gosh, I'm so bad at quoting scripture on the spot. But is it Romans 1:16 where it's suffering produces, oh my gosh, endurance. Endurance produces character, hope doesn't put us to shame. See, Jesus, I got some of it. I got the gist of it, right? I think even like Jim Carrey said something one time. He said suffering leads to salvation, which I thought was so good. I was like, oh, that's good. So I think having those wilderness seasons, you really need them so you can appreciate once you enter into the land of milk and honey.
That's true.
I mean, it took Moses a day to get the Israelites out of Egypt, but it took him 40 years to get Egypt out of the Israelites.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, imagine you buy your kid a like nice Corvette for his 16th birthday. How do you think he'll treat the Corvette versus him getting a job and him working every summer and saving up and buying the Corvette himself? Like, you appreciate the fruits of your labor way more. And so that is totally true here, because that's why, you know, there's some people that like are receiving awards and they don't even shed a tear. And I'm just like, that's because you blew up on TikTok. You didn't do your time in the trenches.
Right.
Now, I feel like if I was on a stage winning New Artist of the Year, I'd be bawling my eyes out. I wouldn't be able to, because there'd be so many memories and flashbacks going through my head at that moment. You could probably test this too, where it's like, I almost gave this up. I had major depression over this, and now I'm standing on this stage with like this validation I've been seeking so earnestly. So there's definitely a difference between like someone who's been here 12 years, every door slammed in their face, but they finally made it, versus this person's never written a song before, but they went viral and now they're signed with a major label and they're selling out arenas. It's like, I mean, God blesses who he wants, but it's also just like, dang, you don't appreciate milk and honey until you've been in the wilderness for X amount of years. Right. So
I talk about like when we had Trey, our son, my wife and I, like, we got pregnant quick when infertility is like a whole thing. We got pregnant quick, right? And so she has like this great pregnancy, and we're kind of like, this is going to be easy. Like, I got 11 nephews and nieces, no problem. We, you know, I got 1 of 5 kids. Like, I've been changing diapers forever. Like, we're set. So we didn't do any of the birth classes. We didn't do any of like the work up front. And we had the baby, and I'll never forget, it was like right after she gave birth, I looked at the nurse. I was like, so like when he like cries and stuff, like, do I come get you? Do you like come in? She was like, no, like, you're the dad. Like, and I was like, oh, and like, I don't know why it took like a minute for it to dawn on me, like, oh snap, this is my kid. I'm like, okay, I'm ready, right? I think,
Right, yeah.
but you're not.
Well, quick mental adjustment.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, that's right. Yeah, I'm like, correct. I was there 9 months ago when this happened. All right, good. I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to your point, though, I think like the trench season develops you, right? And I think one of the things that it does most importantly is it helps you when you have arrived, see the people who are not arrived and see who they are, right? Because like, I feel like the only places I can speak into someone's life is the road that I walked and like in the pain that I suffered, right? If I can't go through the desert season myself, and then I'm trying to like, I will make it to the stage, which I believe you all will. But it's like when I'm there, I can't see that person authentically for who they are, where they are. And therefore, how can I minister to them effectively? Right? Like, there's going to be other contestants went through The Voice that are going to feel like, man, I thought I was going to make it. I thought this was going to be the thing. And like, what a select small group of human beings that know what that trauma and that pain is like. And yet you will know how to navigate that. So like, I almost look at this from the standpoint of sometimes rejection, I think, is God's gift to us to allow us to speak more effectively on mission for what he has for us.
That's it.
Right? Like, because I think through like, and I reference Kiana a lot, but I feel like her story is like so impactful because when she gave birth to Trey, she gave birth in a way that she didn't want to. She had a C-section. She wanted to go natural. And she battled that for so long. And I would always say to her, I'm like, hey, but the whole purpose was to just have the baby. And like, and you did that. Like, look at this life that you made. Like, look at this gift that you gave us. Yes, it wasn't maybe the way that you envisioned it. Maybe my path wasn't the direction I went. But one of the things that same mentor spoke to me was he said, would you be okay if God told you the dream that you have may not be the dream that I have for you, but the dream that I have for you is far better than the dream that you have for yourself?
So good.
And it's one of those things where it becomes this trust thing where like, if you would have told maybe one of you at the very beginning of your journey, hey, it's going to take 12 years.
Yeah.
It's going to take this many doors slammed in your face. It's going to take this much rejection. You're not going to make it. I don't know if you would have ever picked up the guitar. I don't know if you would have ever wrote the song. But like, I think you guys wrote the song and you taking that next step. And the one thing you all keep saying is be authentic and just keep going. Any other lesson that you would give an artist out there? I mean, either one, like about that part.
I feel like I'm too new to give advice on. Like I just moved here.
Hey, you stole the platform.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Well, yeah. I mean, my thing is, obviously, you want whatever God wants from me. But I feel like God's not putting this in me to or giving me that gift for what? Like, why am I sing? Why can I sing if it's not for something? You know.
Mhm.
But also, I've also been this way where I don't really care if I lost all my platform. Like I've said this over. If everything got deleted today, I would not shed a tear. I wouldn't care that much because I don't hold that in such high regard. Like it doesn't matter that much to me. I mean, I care about it. I'm grateful for all the people that follow me. Thank you so much. You know, you've helped me live my life in a good way. But ultimately, if it's not what God has for me, then it's not. I don't really care. But for pursuing this, what I would tell people is, and I'm a realistic person, so like everyone's not gonna make it. Like, and some people just don't like. You can sing good. Something about you is not drawing people. But if that was me, then that was me. Like, I don't care. I mean, I do care. I want it, but I'm not gonna be like down in the dumps or depressed about it because I'm like, maybe I should be back in the worship leading. Maybe I'm going to be like a songwriter or something. Maybe I'm going to do something else in music. I just love music. I want to express myself in that way. And yes, I'd love to be the next Morgan Wallen. Like, that'd be sweet. I like to be able to just walk off SNL saying I'm going back to God's country and still get 37 songs on the Hot 100. I would love that.
I was like, I just wanted to go home. It was over.
But if it doesn't happen, like, it is. That's
Flex.
yeah, right. I know. And then go number one, have number one hits on the bill. Like, it doesn't matter.
I want to put out 800 songs and all of them. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be nice?
The journey, like you said, the journey is what's going to be matter the most. I'm sure you've made a lot of friendships. I'm sure you've done a lot of awesome things being here and doing that. And that stuff is all worth it, even if it doesn't. We don't ever get to where we want, although we probably will.
It's a good storybook ending. Not to spoil the ending, but
I always like my favorite part of the Bible is in Joshua. In Joshua 9, I have it on me, but I love that part because I think it's a part that there's so many small pieces in there that we skim through, right? So you were talking about the children of Israel, right? We leave Egypt and then it's 40 years. But one of the things that we oftentimes forget is that Caleb and Joshua were a part of that generation that all died.
Yeah.
They didn't die, right? Because they believed in the promise, but their ability to get in the promised land was deferred by the people they were surrounded by. Right. So for 40 years, they were not able to get where they were going to go, even though they were obedient, even though they did do the right things. And then you read about Joshua's life, right? And you start thinking about, okay, well, he's Moses' right-hand man. Moses led the whole thing. So you could argue at least 1 million, probably closer to 2 million people that are griping and complaining, and he dies right before he gets to go to the promised land, right? And I've talked about this on the show, but I'll do it quickly because I think it will help people. Like, that used to bother me so much in my theology and bother me in my like mindset of God. Like, how can you like that feels so not right.
They'll struck the wrong
Right?
than once.
100%. I'm like,
So nice. Like, at least let him see
yeah,
it.
at least let him get in, right? Like, just touch it. Like, yeah, it's so messed up. But you know what God showed me one time, because I just sat there and I prayed, and I was like, God, this has bothered me since I was a boy. Like, help me understand this. And he goes, the reason that it bothers you is you're viewing the promised land as the wrong thing. The promised land was never the land itself. It wasn't the milk and honey. I am the promised land. So he died and got the ultimate promised land. He got to go to heaven and be with his creator. That was the whole goal the whole time, is being back in relationship with God. So I think sometimes we pursue these goals so heavily, right? And I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to make CMA. I want to go, 37 number ones. And those are powerful and those are good things. There was nothing wrong with Moses going to the promised land. But when I start from the construct of that the accomplishment is the goal, rather than the goal is God and whatever happens in spite of that is okay, I think what happens, you really enter into a different part of your faith and a different part of your music journey, where I think you could get to be a point where, like Joshua, you never hear Joshua complain scripturally about the 40 years in the wilderness. You never hear him complain. Doesn't mean he didn't, just it's not written down. But you see Moses die, so he loses his leader, and it's just him, and now he has to go to war with people that he didn't grow up with, and his own people, like in his own, like a whole generation had died. And I think about that sometimes, and you read in Joshua 1, he talks about, be strong and courageous, do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you may go. And he says it over and over and over again. And the only times that you see God repeat things is when he really wants it to last, right? When he wants to pop off the page. Do not be afraid.
Oh, the angels are saying it. Yeah.
Right. Be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. And so, like hearing your guys' stories and like listening to you guys, I'm so grateful for like the authenticity and the vulnerability. But if I could leave you guys with something, I would say, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Right? The Lord your God is with you wherever you may go. And whether it is being a, by the world standards, a successful country music artist, or it's something else, whatever I do, it is on purpose for who I'm doing it for, because the goal was never the money, the title, the role. The goal was always God and where he is in that light and where he's at in that. And what I find is the only times I feel lost and spun is when I'm chasing the object and not the one who created it. And when I spin that, just flip that coin ever so slightly, it creates authenticity and it takes the pressure off, right? Like we had a topic the other couple of weeks back where we talked about like singleness. And one of the guests was talking about how they feel like they have this like proverbial clock in the back of their mind. It was a female, and she was talking about how like she just feels so much pressure. Like I have to get married. I have to have kids by these timelines. Right. And it's like, she was like, oh, I'm falling behind. Right. And it was so unique but I asked her, falling behind to whose standard? Who are you behind by? Right? Behind by who? Or like talking about my dad, he married my mom. She had 4 kids and was a mess, but he was 35 and that was back in the 80s. So he was like way behind for that day and age. Right. But they've been married now for over 30 years and madly in love with 5 kids and 11 grandkids. And like, that's powerful. Right. And so I think more than anything else, I'm just so grateful for you guys because you're living your vulnerability. Right? Like I can hide in corporate America. You can hide in whatever you do. A pastor can hide behind, well, we're behind because we don't have the building, or we're behind because y'all can't hide. Like this is what you've chosen to do. And I'm just so blessed to have your guys being here in the vulnerability of it. And crazy enough, we're actually out of time, but I want to pray over you guys, pray a blessing over you, and just send you off the right way if that's all right.
Absolutely. I think I can speak for all of us too. We're blessed to be here.
Yeah.
I'm blessed by y'all too.
Listening to you guys, like seriously.
I know. I just like, oh my God, like this. Feel so. I love godly people. Yay! Feel so fed right now spiritually. So great feeling.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you so much for having us. Seriously.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Appreciate it. Father God, I just thank you tonight, Lord, for each and every one of us that's in the room. And Lord, I just pray a blessing over them, God. I pray for courage. I pray for faith, God. I pray that their hearts would not become sick, God, that their hope would not be deferred. Lord, I pray for blessings over them, that they would remain authentic to their faith, or authentic to who you've called them to be. Lord, I pray, and God, I just pray for them that doors would open, barriers would be knocked down. Lord, I pray that their gifts would be used in a mighty way to exalt you and your kingdom. And Lord, I pray that you would bless them beyond anything they could ever ask, think, or imagine. Lord, I thank you for any of the anxieties, the depression, the worries, or the fears that they may have. And Lord, I pray that they would fall to the wayside, that they would pursue you and pursue you only. Lord, I thank you for the callings that you've placed on each of their lives. Lord, I thank you that they're not what they do, but that they are who you've called them to be. And Lord, so I pray for courage that they would be those people that would pursue you mightily. Lord, I thank you for their significant others, wherever they may be. And Lord, I pray that you would bless them, that they would meet in a wonderful way, that they would be in alignment, that they would be equally yoked, and they would live a wonderful, wonderful life. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.